Ha ha! If you remember the project over here, you will know what I'm doing next to this bathtub shower enclosed area. Well, it's not an enclosed area, it's just a bathtub with a shower attached to it. Yeah. Well, my next step in my project, I've already sealed these tiles, and the reason why I sealed these tiles is because these tiles were limestone. And they tell you on limestone that you need to seal a tile before you install the grout. I'd never heard of that before. Every time I've seen anybody do something, they install all the grout first, then they install the sealer. Well, you install the sealer here first because then the grout will not discolor your limestone tiles. Apparently the limestone is more porous than a harder tile material, and so that's what we did. We sealed everything, and I'm back to install the grout. Now previously I installed some kraft paper. It always sounds like I'm saying crap paper, huh? Kraft. K-R-A-F-T, kraft paper. I'm gonna retape that down to get ready, and this little tile wall is being done, and this tile on the wall here is going all the way down to the floor, so I'm gonna have to put some kraft paper down there. I'm gonna put some masking tape up and get ready to go. So if you want to see how to install grout on a wall for some wall tile, stick around. And by the way, has Joe ever done this before? On a wall? Something like this? No, I never have. So this is going to be interesting, and you'll know that if I can do it, you can do it too. Now this brings me to an interesting dilemma. Usually on a bathtub, like right in this area here, usually you don't have this little half wall here. Well, they built it up and they made it almost flush with this. They should have taken this and rounded off this edge like a bull nose. And the tile guys could have done that, but they didn't. So the question became, do we caulk this with white caulking? Because around the tub, you know, the bottom edge right there and along there and the front of the tub, that's all going to be caulked at the bottom, you know, with the white. But I didn't think we should do that right here well, the main reason is they didn't bullnose this edge. Had they bullnosed that edge down, it would have been nice to finish this off with caulking. But because they didn't, I think I'm going to fill that in with grout and try to brush it off with the sponge. And see, I put the masking tape just beyond the rolled edge of the tub because I don't want to get the grout all over the place. And I did the same thing all the way along the edge. Now, if I get grout on this bottom edge, I'm not going to sweat it because ultimately I'm going to caulk the whole thing. But I had to get this close because of these vertical lines, right? The line that comes up here, here, and all the way along there. So I don't want that to get all over the tub, and I put the kraft paper all the way around here. And this is what I did when I first sealed it. And after the grout gets installed, after it dries and the surface gets clean and all that, we're going to put 2 more coats of sealer on this tub, all these walls. And so I may leave this down just like this for the sealer as well. Now that's why I put kraft paper down on the ground, because I'm not sure if the grout color that they picked out for the walls is the exact same grout color they picked for the floor. So, and the floor's already been done. So I've masked off all of the floor, you know, along this wall. And I'll be assured that it's just gonna get on the wall, because this grout could get messy a little bit, and you could get some, you will definitely get some on the floor too. Now, when the grout guys, I've seen them grout all the time, not lately, but when they do the floors, they mix it up and then they just put a big puddle on the floor, and then they just start going to town with their little float. Well, I can't really necessarily do that on these walls. I'm gonna have to be a little careful, because it's all going to start falling down. Plus I've got a window to go around, I've got a ceiling to go around, and I'm not quite sure what to do with that just yet. I might take a little test spot. I look at the ceiling, see if it's semi-gloss on the ceiling, and it looks, son of a gun, it looks like it's just flat paint on the ceiling. So the last thing I want to do is start plowing the mud up there, the grout, and then find out that it's going to discolor the paint. And now I've got to find some matching touch-up paint where I don't know where that is. This ceiling is probably 5 or 6 years old, and so my best bet probably on the top is to put masking tape up there too. Now on this wall there's semi-gloss, or there's eggshell on the wall, and again, if I have the masking tape out, I might just put a row down there too and be done with it. These are the types of things you're going to have to consider, especially if you're going up to a pre-finished area. If you've got an area that, you know, the walls still have to be painted and all of that, and the ceiling and stuff, then you could do it a little bit different, because if you get it on the wall, you know, ultimately you're going to get on the wall and ceiling, then you just sponge it off, and if it discolors ever so slightly, hey, who cares? We're going to paint the walls last. You know, so think about your project. You know what? There could be a debate. Okay, do you put masking tape up there or not? How nice of a grout line do you have? But because these grout lines are so thin, I mean, it looks really nice, but in some locations up there, the tile was cut tight to the ceiling. There's a 1/16 on one tile, an 1/8 down to a 1/16 on another tile, and all that. I would have had to have tried to hold all that tape about a 1/16 away from the wall edge as I was putting it up there, to get a nice straight line of grout. And plus we had a little patch we had to do along this side. There was a big gap there, and I had to put caulking in there and stuff, and there's going to have to be a little bit of work that has to be done up there after the grout gets installed. So I mean, I decided just to make it tight, and I'll do all of the grout, and when I get done, I'm gonna have to caulk it, and I'll just put a nice thin little bead up there. If this would have been a semi-gloss ceiling or something, maybe I would have done it slightly different. Up against the wall here, the tiles were cut tight, and you know, I guess you could put the grout right up against the wall, but then I would have to put the masking tape, you know, a perfect line all the way down that edge, because if you don't get your masking tape nice and straight, a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch away, then your grout line's not going to look right. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have to sit here and ponder this just for a minute. I mean, we can do it like this and then caulk it. Afterwards, when you put the caulking in there, you just got to put a nice thin little bead up there all the way around, and that'll make it look finished. I wish the grout, the tile would have been cut, you know, to make that line just a hair bigger at the top, so that when all the grout went in, it would look nice and straight. But you know, c'est la vie. Yeah, and I'm pretty good about putting masking tape up, but you know, it's just easier off the roll as I rolled it up there. I guess I could have made it a 1/16 away all the way around and then just done it up there and then sponged it off the masking tape. But then if it doesn't come off the masking tape all the way, you know, I mean, like I say, I have not installed grout up against the ceiling like that. You know, I've only ever done little patches and things. I'm not a tile guy, but when I get done with this, I want it to look right. So you can do it this way, or you can hold the tape back about a 1/16, maybe an 1/8. But then, like I say, you've got to get all your masking tape nice and straight. I think I'm going to do it this way. And the key with doing it this way is once I get all done with this, when I put the caulking up there, you want a nice small little tip on your caulk tube, because this is flat paint and on the walls, and there's not going to be any painting done up there. Yeah, they've got a little bit of trim work to still do and things, and I'm not sure what they're going to do about paint color and all that. And so that is what I've decided to do. Now here's the grout I'm going to use. This, and it's important to realize, it's non-sanded grout. Non-sanded, usually they have grout that's sanded or non-sanded. Non-sanded means you've got it for grout lines up to 1/8 of an inch. If you get sanded grout, and if you have real small little grout lines, it's not going to really push into your nooks and crannies as well as a non-sanded. Okay, so that's what they decided, and that's what we have to do on this. And they've got buttercream. Now this is a dry mix, so I'm just going to mix up a little bit at a time and put it on there. You can get, sometimes if you're doing just a very small job, you can get something like this that maybe is already a wet material. But that comes in smaller little pint or half pint containers, and we've got enough here. Now granted, we're probably not going to use this whole thing. It's from about here on down. We might use half that box or 1/3 of that box, but you know, that's just the way it's going to be. Now, what am I going to use to put that on? Just a float. This is called a little hand float. This says red rubber grout float, and this is rubber. Okay, all the way around. And this was like $4. That's all. They had it, or yeah, $3.96. They had another one that was black that was a little bit stiffer than this, and that was like $1 more. But I'm going to use this. It's a little bit flexible, and it's designed to just fit in there and push in there. And that's going to be interesting to see how well that works on the walls. And I think it'll be fine. And how am I going to mix that? Kaboom! Just with my sheetrock pan. That's all I'm going to use. And I've got a little water container here. That way I can, you know, kind of dump a little bit. Don't go to the kitchen sink or the bathroom sink, make a big old huge mess. Okay, and yes, I broke down and I got a nice 3-inch putty knife. The other one I had was just metal, a steel surface, and those have a tendency to rust after a while. And so this one here is a stainless steel one. This says it's supposed to last forever, guaranteed forever. This set me back $11, and I'm sitting at the store. Crack me up. I'm sitting at the store. Okay, should I get it? Well, how many times am I going to use that? Should I just get a steel one again and then replace that all the time? Well, you get a steel one for $3 or $4, and after a year or so, you end up throwing it away, getting another one, throwing it away. I mean, I've thrown away 4 or 5 of them. I could have bought this, you know, 5 years ago, and it will still be cooking strong for me. But instead, I waited till now. Now see here, I need to break down and get some nice 1-inch putty knife. See how black and discolored this is? That's because this is rusting. This is a cheap throwaway one for like $2. I should have bought one for $7 or $8. A stainless steel one. And food for thought. Next time I go to the hardware store, I think I'm going to get one, and I'll just use this to bang on and stuff. But I might use this today in a pinch, knowing that I should get a stainless steel one.